Everybody's Friday.
Awesome.
Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
My little guy with a red roof.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Does anybody want to invest in real estate?
Definitely within the next 2 years. It's one of my big time goals.
Very cool. Very cool. What do you want to do first?
I'm looking for probably like a triplex is what I want. Multifamily, Section 8 it out, and just have the guaranteed income.
Like an income property.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. What do I do? Just click the screen to go to the next one? Oh, you'll do it? Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna say hello to Christine, the best. She's gonna click through because I'm not technically savvy. And if you want to know a little bit about me, I mean, I got into real estate actually to invest. I don't know, I'm gonna look up here, but I'll look at Christine. I always wanted to invest in real estate, so I got into real estate, actually got my license to invest. I didn't get my real estate license to sell real estate, believe it or not. This was a byproduct that snowballed into something huge. So I always say real estate investing it builds wealth. You want to build a big bank account, save money in the, for retirement, build a portfolio, build a positive cash flow monthly, large amounts if you want. You do it through real estate investing to build a great life, build your future, your income for your family, to have a home. Real estate sales is kind of what I use that for. But don't discount real estate sales. Some people make $1 million a year in sales as well. So, but most people investing it builds wealth. Their sales funds their life. We're on 50 properties. I think I'm over 50 properties now. So definitely over 400 flips. 400. When I say I facilitated 400, there's not just me. I've probably done I don't know 50 flips, 60 flips, and a lot of rentals. But I do them for a lot of investors. So this is kind of a two-part class. I kind of show you a little bit how to work with investors, because if you know how to invest yourself, you have a lot of confidence showing your investors how to do it. And if you can, I call it grow investors. If you can take an investor that either does very little amount or does nothing into investing at a pretty high level, they'll stick with you forever, because you've now made them rich pretty much. So you can get it where you can have a handful of clients that do investments. And the good thing about investors is, typical homeowners buy and sell their home every 5 to 7 years. So you have one client every 5 to 7 years they'll buy a house, where an investor could buy 1 to 50 properties a year. So you could have 5 clients, each doing 10 properties a year, with 5 clients do 50 sales a year. Make sense? That's called working smarter, not harder. You can go to the next one. Vanna. I love the next one. This was my first investment property. It's a duplex, actually. Second piece of real estate I ever bought. I'm going to show you some examples just to kind of show you what, why I bought things and why, how I look at things, and however you want, but this is how I look at it. I purchased in 2002 for $114,000. It rented for $1,500 per month, $750 up, $750 down. Everything was separate. In exactly 12 months and 1 day, I sold it for $155,000. So I made $59,000 profit in 12 months. Now this is back when there was no money down mortgages for investments. Except for hard money or private money, I don't think you can find that. There are some private lenders that will do 0% down if it makes sense. So on these kind of properties, you can actually make money on the profit of sale, also on the rental income. You can go to the next one. After I did 21 more, go to the next one. Yeah, I was hooked. I have a buying problem. I like to buy houses. It can be a problem. Make sure if you start buying a lot of properties, slow down, look at everything good, because you can literally buy too much and find yourself at a bad spot. You can go to the next one. So how do you start investing? I imagine a lot of people want to know that. That's why I asked you, how you doing? What your goals were, because some people want to build, passive residual income every month. Some people want to, build wealth so they can pay off large amounts of debt. Some people can't think of paying off their mortgage because it's so big. It's not like a $5,000 credit card. You got a $250,000 mortgage. It just seems so big. Like anything else big, how do you eat a frog? One small bite at a time. It's gonna taste like crap. So you can actually do this. I, 20 years ago, I would have never thought I would have paid off my mortgage. 2 years ago, I did. Building a savings for retirement, college funds. These are all things you can achieve through real estate investing.
Yeah, that's literally my goal. Is my primary goal initially when my wife and I started looking into do real estate investing is to build a college fund for my son. Is just to have something that was netting me basically zero a month, but the equity I would get over 15 to 20 years would be enough to put him through college. And then passive income is the second goal.
That's a great idea. So how long till your child goes to college?
About 17 years.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So like if you bought a rental property today and got a 20-year mortgage, and even if you made no profit per month, or if you took all the profit, you just put it in the mortgage, even if the property didn't go up in value, which statistically real estate always goes up 3% a year over the long term, you will have paid the tenant will have paid off that mortgage, and you will now have a bank account. Let's say you bought it for 150,000 paid off in 20 years. If it doesn't go up any in value, you've now had a $150,000 bank account.
Right.
Make sense?
Yep, that's what I want.
So when you talk to your clients, anybody that wants to retire or have kids, tell them to buy one investment property. Just buy one investment property. That's all you got to do. Buy one investment property and get a loan for about how long until you want to take it. You know what I mean? So if you have 30 years, you want to take it, then do a 30-year loan. If you have 20 years, you want to take it, do a 20-year loan. And if you can do 10 or 15, if you can afford that payment, do that, because at the end of that term, the tenant will have paid off your mortgage, and now you have a bank account to retire, to subsidize your retirement, college fund, whatever you want to do. Get it? Or you can take that money and buy a second home. Buy cash in Florida, South Carolina, wherever you want to go. Texas, Arizona. Next one. So rental properties calculations. If you ever heard these investment classes or people talk about it, there's that kind of rule of 1%. So basically, you take, like, say, $150,000 sales price. The rent should be around $1,500. This is not an exact science because it takes into account taxes, insurance, things like that. If it's flood insurance or not flood insurance, but a quick way to figure out if a property kind of makes sense: the sales price, 1%, $1,500 a month or higher. It's a decent investment. It'll pay your payment. Should pay your payment without much money out of pocket, or you should be getting a small profit. But you actually want to do a P&L. Every property you buy, you want to treat it like a business. How much income you have, how much expense you have, what's your net at the end of the year, month. Make sense? What's that?
Sir.
Profit and loss, like a profit and loss statement. So you do, on a profit and loss statement, you'll have an income section, expense section, and then profit or loss at the end. Before you buy it, you want to do that, because you don't want to know after you bought it, oh crap, this thing's losing money. Or you don't want to do just the rule of 1% and then buy it and realize, shit, I got to put $500 a month in every month. That doesn't make sense. Believe it or not, in 2004, 5, 6, 7, people were doing that. People were literally buying properties with a negative cash flow, and they thought it was a good idea. I don't know. I wasn't the smartest guy in the smartest knife in the toolbox then, but I thought that was a bad idea. Minus total expenses. When you do a P&L or you do income and loss for a rental property, you want to calculate 10% for repairs. Put 10% in for repairs. There'll be some years, there'll be a year where you do almost nothing, and then there'll be 1 year where you just get crushed with repairs. So you figure if you're making $18,000 a year, you take $1,800 or $2,000 every year of that, put it away in a different bank account for repairs, save it. If you don't use it, great. But if you need it and you don't have it, it sucks.
Would you start when you buy that property? Would you have the 2,000 set aside for year one already?
If you can, yes. Yes, because you're right. You're not going to have that 10% until you get paid all the rent. And God forbid you don't get paid the rent, then you're not getting rent or repair money. Um, let me ask you, why did you say a triplex, Les?
I looked at, I've looked at like properties in Atlantic City, properties in Wildwood. It looks to me like the ROI is just, it would be a lot higher for something that is one roof with a lot more, ways to generate income,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
You're
like,
right.
and if you have if you have someone that starts to not pay their rent, you have, you have a better chance of being able to break even, if two people are in the third person you have to evict. It's not all that eggs
Exactly.
in one basket.
That's exactly why my first property was a duplex. Because the statistical odds of both of them not paying was slim. Believe it or not, the only about like 16% of tenants get evicted every year. Normally, right now we got 30,000 people in eviction, but so really the eviction rate is low compared to what you hear. But you're right. If you have a triplex, chances are two of them are going to be paying. Just maybe one's not paying. The odds of all three not paying is slim. And you're right. The price per square foot for multifamily homes in Atlantic City and Pleasantville is much cheaper than in a single family home. It's because most homeowners that are going to live in the property don't buy multifamily homes because they're nervous about buying, number one, and two, they don't want to buy, be nervous, and be a landlord. So they don't, and homeowner purchasers make up the largest percentage of total sales, if that makes sense. On the mainland, multifamilies are a little more expensive because there's just not as many of them. You don't have nearly as many as you do in Pleasantville, Atlantic City. So great idea. And if you're buying a single family home, or if you can have that repair money aside, yes, try to have it aside. It's a great point. Let me ask you, why do most businesses fail? Any idea?
No cash flow.
Right. They don't have, they're underfunded, undercapitalized, and they don't know numbers. So they run into a jam where they don't have enough money and they never calculated enough to see how much they needed. And even if they didn't calculate, if they had a nice nest egg, it wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
All right, next one. Basic expenses for a rental. So this is kind of like, P&L, but just word format. Total projected yearly income on that property I showed was 18,000. The taxes and insurance at that time were 3,500. Taxes in Atlantic City are much higher now. Projected repairs, again, I do 10% of the gross income, 18,000, so 1,800 a year. Utilities, I was paying water and sewer on the multifamilies, one tip, and even every investor's choice. But if you're buying a multifamily or any house, make sure that try not to be paying the electric or gas. If you're paying the utilities, the tenants will use them very freely. Have the heat on 75 with the windows open. So it's better off, especially on multifamilies, get a multifamily with a separate two, or each unit having its own electric meter and each unit having its own way of paying the heat, whether that's electric heat or gas heat. Separate meters is the best way to go. Sewer you cannot separate on multifamily. Water you could, but it's kind of expensive. I paid $1,000. Inspections, yearly permits. When you're a landlord, anywhere in Atlantic County, you have to have some sort of yearly inspection. Even if it's not an inspection, it's a yearly license, permit, something that city collects on you because they think landlords are rich and you got to pay. So that's inspections. Total expenses for this property were $6,500 a year with no mortgage. $11,500 was my net profit. If this was $150,000 purchase, purchase price to cap rate or ROI per year would be 7.6%. Everybody, the reason I put everybody know it, well, now they know ROI is rate of return. Does everybody know that? Or the cap rate. If you talk to investors, they'll ask you, what's the cap rate or ROI? They're basically the same question, just different ways of putting it. When you do a cap rate, when you figure out the cap rate or an ROI, figure it out if it was a cash purchase. That's what when they're asking that question, they want to know what the cash that's how they want you to figure it out. Even though most people are going to do a mortgage, they want to know, use the cash, you have to purchase cash. But if you really look at, if you do a 20% down mortgage, like if in this 150,000, you put $30,000 out, really, to me, I want to know what my rate of return is more than 30,000, which is a lot higher than 7.6%, because you're leveraging the mortgage company's money. Even at the cash option, 7.6%. I don't know many banks that give 7% anymore. I don't even know any banks that give 2%, right? I think TD advertises for, if you deposit $1,001 or more in their account, they'll give you 1.25%. Is that crazy?
Killing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only negative about it. The Fed's having very low rates, huh? Great when you're buying a house. Not great when you're looking for interest return.
You impute any management fees, even though you're paying, not paying?
If you're going to pay a management, yeah, you should put a management fee in here. I don't pay a management fee, but
Right. No, even though you don't
yeah.
pay it, should you impute that?
To pay yourself, kind of.
Well,
yeah,
and then eventually when you have so many properties.
Good hire manager. That's a good idea. Yeah, if you want to, yeah, do that. You could definitely do that. Actually, I'm thinking if you own them all in one LLC, you could at some point pay yourself as an employee of the LLC. So you could do that. That's a good idea. I didn't do that because I never hired a management company. I always managed them myself, but that's true. You could do it. You could do it as an expense to a company, LLC, or eventually hire someone. Because if you're going to do, like I tell them, if you have a full-time job, you're going to be a realtor full-time, and you get over 10, 15 properties, you should probably hire someone. It gets to be a lot of work after a while. 1, 2, 3, 15, 20, it's because it's becoming a full-time job. And it could very well become your full-time job. So net profit divided by purchase price times 100 gives you your net ROI or cap rate. Cap rate is same formula, yet before deducting expenses. Yo, what's up, man? Cool. What do we got next? Yeah, on the last one, that's $11,000 per year for one property. You multiply that by 3, 4, 10 properties, you can definitely make as much as you want. Maybe real estate investors, there is a full-time. Yeah, I know a lot of people now. This has become their full-time gig. A lot of Magic, he's in the office a lot. He does have a construction company still, but now is 50% of the construction company's business is his own property. So, he'll buy 20, 30 a year. He'll sell 15 to 20 a year. So definitely this has become full-time. When I met him, he wasn't doing anything. He lost like $1.5 million in 2007 when the market crashed and burned. So he was a little gun shy when I met him. I have properties that yield 40%. Yeah, I mean, right now it's getting a little tougher to get that. This is an old slide, but in Pleasantville, like, I don't even know, 4 years ago, you could get a 40% return. And if you buy them cheap enough, you can still get that. It's very slim right now. Get ready though, because next year, I don't know if it's first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, there's a lot of bank loans being held up waiting. What's up, Bobby? Good, man. So
40% return. 40%
Mhm.
return is on your down payment, not on the purchase price, correct?
No, at one point it was. I bought a property on Adams Ave. It was a 3-bed, 1-bath. It needed like 15,000 to work, but I bought it for 25,000, and we rented it for $1,350, I think, 1,400, something like that.
That's awesome.
Back, 2009, 2010, 2011, around here was probably the best time because the economy was, the casino just laid off like 8,000 people. We just had Sandy a couple years prior. Taxes went through the roof in Atlantic City and the county, and nobody had any money. I felt like we were the only people with cash walking around, so we just started buying, just making offers. Literally, we'd make offers of like half and get them. So those days are kind of over, but it's still not bad. Think about it. You buy 40%, I said it's gonna be very, very tough. But if you're willing to go to like Millville or Bridgeton, you might still find, I mean, there's some crazy return.
I'd be happy with
You know, depends on where you want to go, where you're willing to go.
I'd be real happy with 15.
What we got next? Is he talking to me?
No,
Oh, okay. Can you see everybody?
no.
Oh, okay. Cash purchase, ways to purchase income properties. Cash purchase, obviously, cash is king. If you got cash, it's very easy. And usually it gives you a little bit of an edge. Right now, it's craziness. Traditional 20% down mortgages, you can go to the bank, your mortgage companies that you know, get a mortgage. Something, when you're buying income property, a lot of times the lender will allow you to use 75% of the rental income from the property to help you qualify. Just ask the bank before you apply if they'll do that. Most will do that. You still have to make up the other percentage with your income. But if you're buying, let's say, a triplex and it's all rented at, let's say, $1,000 a month, $1,000 each, that's $3,000 a month. You know, 75% of that, it's a lot of income that might offset a good part of the, it can't offset the entire mortgage payment, but it can offset a good amount of it, up to 75% you can use of the income. So not that people a lot of times think you need a lot of money, you need 20%, or you need a lot of, you know, income. You might be surprised. You do need good credit. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's only applicable to properties that are currently being rented. It's not like properties that maybe have a vacancy. Let's say if a triplex has 2 rented and 1 vacancy, you can only base it off of the not projected, but only the currently leased property, right?
Yeah, no. Well, yes and no. It depends on the lender. The lender, I've had lenders use projected income, and then they'll ask the appraiser to do like a rental projection. Like, what's this thing going to rent for? Are the rents you're getting normal, too high, or too low? What's that? Exactly. Yeah. And this way they know. Okay. Well, the landlord, the appraiser said you can get $1,000 a month. We'll take 75% of that $1,000 a month for the unrented unit. Now, other lenders, you're right, they want a lease from every unit. That's the only way they'll use the income. So again, it depends on the lender.
Want to see rent,
Yeah.
see how many late payments. You got.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. Depends on, some lenders get really involved. Yeah. So make sure you have a cooperative landlord or tenants. Kind of an oxymoron, cooperative tenants. Normal rates may be used rental income, need credit, need decent income to cover your debts. Some of motivated seller financing. Anybody ever done any kind of seller financing? Have any questions about seller financing? Not real common. I mean, it's ironically, I would say it's not that common. I'm doing 3 of them right now. And just because one gave me the idea for the other one, but they're really hard properties to sell. So it's kind of like the seller's got to be a little flexible. But I mean, a lot of times you'll hear like tenants say, "Oh, you're going to be able to do seller financing or lease to purchase." I don't see a lot of those. The only time I see it is when the seller's trying to get too much money. I got one in Absecon. It's a 3-bed, 2.5 bath. It's like 2,000 square feet. Nice location, nice house. He's $269 he wants for it, but he'll hold the mortgage for 7 years at 0% interest. 7 years, 0% interest. He wants $1,500 a month and $20,000 down. $20,000 down, and it's $1,500 a month. And the value in that is the person that's buying it, a friend of mine, her credit's not that great, so she can't get a mortgage. Got $20,000 though, and she can afford $1,500 plus the taxes. In 7 years, she will have paid down that mortgage like $107,000. Where what are the mortgage? Well, if you've paid almost like 40% of the mortgage in 7 years. So I told her that's why the value, because you can't get a mortgage anyway. We'll give it a mortgage. You got 20 grand, and you're gonna pay off you're gonna build a lot of equity, and he's deeding the property to her. So, but I don't find that a lot. At 0%, it was no. Now he is literally going to deed. We're getting title. We're getting survey. He is going to be John Doe mortgage. You know what I mean? Lien on the property. She will own it, and she's going to have a lot of equity. So, how often? I don't. I've never seen 0%. But you in a good market, you usually see it where they're asking too much money for the house. That's the only way the seller can get it, is if they do seller financing. In a buyer's market, you see it more often because seller can't sell the property, but not that often. But there's a lot of different ways to do it. The two biggest ways is, one, are you doing a lease where a portion of the rent goes towards your down payment with an option to buy, like you've agreed on the price in the lease, and then you're buying in a year or 3 years with a normal mortgage, and $100 a month goes towards down payment. Or like the one that I'm seeking, I was just saying, where literally you are being deeded the property, you are getting a mortgage from the current seller, and that seller is going to be recorded on your property just like Wells Fargo would, and you are being deeded the property. Those kind of, if you can buy a house with very little money out of pocket, and the seller will deed it to you and hold the financing, there's a value there, because you're not paying nearly as much closing costs as you would with the mortgage company, and you don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of getting a mortgage. Not that I find that often, but if you can find a flexible seller, it's a great way to buy properties with very little money out of pocket. And you can do, then what's value, the other second part of value of getting the deed in your name is you can go to almost any bank now and get a cash out refi. You can get an equity line, cash out refi, and it's easier to get it once you own it than to get a purchase mortgage. Equity lines cost like $300, $500, and you get them in like a week. So, but you have to own the property, and you can get it just to pay off the seller. What we got next? Ways to get funds. I got some crazy ways here. Don't take them. I'm just telling you, there's, say how big of a leap of faith you want to take. Some people don't have any money, and I'm crazy and I do some crazy stuff. So, home equity line. So if you own a house now, take a line of credit off your house for a down payment. I always tell everybody, do not take a home equity line or equity out of your property unless you're doing one of two things. One, you're paying off other debt, or two, you're creating more income. That's it. There's no other reason. Do not take money out of your house to buy a car or furniture or anything that depreciates. You know what I mean? You take it out to pay off debt, or you take it out to make more money. So you take the equity out. Let's say you take, you take 50 grand in equity on an equity line, the payment, interest only payment, you're like $100, $150. So if you paid interest and you're paying $250 a month, but you can take that 50 grand and buy a rental property that makes you $600 a month. Now you're making $350 on the $250 you're spending. Make sense? And then the quicker you can pay off that initial equity line, the better. If you can get the 50 grand out of the second one, take it out, pay off the first one. Seller financing, I just went over that. Hard money lenders, I have a few hard money private lenders. They're basically non-government regulated mortgages. Very high rates. They're like cousin Vinny rates, you know what I mean? Like 10%, 12%. And when you get into the real hard money, they might come break your legs or something. But but they're really just high interest rates, high, 3, 4, 5 points sometimes. But they're short-term loans to get into the property or do flips with. If you guys need anyone, have any questions about those, let me know. If you can partner up with somebody that has money, sometimes you find like a rich client, an attorney, a doctor, but they don't have any clue about real estate. Well, then you have the knowledge, you have the means to find the property, and maybe the means to fix it, find a money backer. Make sense? And a lot of rich people, they need write-offs anyway, so you can pay them interest as a write-off. The last resort, if you got great credit, there's 0% credit cards out there. You can get 10 grand, 20 grand off of. One thing I'll say is if you do it on credit cards, do it at a 0% rate and pay it off in the time frame you have to, or as soon as possible. I don't like credit cards at all. I love my boy Dan Torres. I owe him a phone call back. Is Dan Torres on here? All right, good. When he was the team leader, he wanted us to get a credit card so we can get points for free flights. And I would not let him. We don't have any debt. We will not have debt ever, ever, ever. We have no credit cards. We have debit cards. I just don't like credit cards. I don't know. Talk to a mortgage lender to start. Yeah, just like you tell your buyers, get approved. You want to buy a rental property? If you want to buy any property, you can get a mortgage on because the condition's good. Talk to a mortgage company. If your condition's bad and you need a different kind of loan, like a private or loan or hard money loan, I got people for you if you don't have somebody. But start there. What you got next? I'm good. What are you looking for in an investment property? I mean, now that I did this, I got to update this. I did this like 6 years ago, I think, this PowerPoint. But start where's your goal at? Like I was saying to you last, what is your goal? You want to have enough money for your kid to go to college in 17 years. That's a great goal. That you want like a long term or 2 or 3, so that the tenant pays them off in 15, 20 years, and you can cash out and get all the money back. If you want, going to pay off your house in the next 5 years, that you might do something more along the lines of a flip, where you can make 30 grand, 30 grand, 30 grand, and you just kind of chew down your mortgage 30 grand at a shot before it's gone, till it's gone. Or if you say, I want a speedboat at $700 a month, go get 3 rental properties that make $400 profit each. That's $1,200 a month. You got your 700 plus some beer money and gas money, and then you got $1,000 towards a boat. I mean, really, whatever your goal is, then you can figure out what you want to do. If nothing else, everybody, your clients, your parents, your family, everyone, your kids, if they're old enough, they should buy 1 rental property, just one extra property besides their own, do a 20-year or 30-year mortgage, and have the tenant pay it off. Take all the profits if you want, put it towards the mortgage, or take your $300-400 a month if you want. But if you plant that tree today and the tenants rent it for 15, 30-year mortgage, 15 mortgage, whatever it is, at the end of that mortgage, it's paid off. The tenant paid it off. You didn't do it. You didn't pay anything into that bank account. And that's if the prices don't go up. But statistically, the prices always go up. So feel the same amount of good.
Question on that. So if you have a property that's, let's just say you collect $1,500 a month and the mortgage is $1,000. So your $1,000 reduces your income. If you were to pay more toward the mortgage, say if you were to pay the full $1,500 a month, would that be an extra $500 a month deduction from your income because you're paying it toward the mortgage, or is it only based on what you actually have to pay?
You say from your income. What do you mean by that? Or from the mortgage, down on the mortgage, you mean?
Yeah.
The mortgage going down, you mean?
So you have a 500, rent it for 1,500, your mortgage and taxes, insurance, everything right out.
$500 profit.
Yeah, you have $500 profit. If you were to put that $500 profit back into the property every month to pay down the mortgage, does that mean you have 0 income on it?
I don't think so.
Tax time?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's an expense.
but it's not you're paying it towards the principal though.
Right.
You're prepaying the
Principal.
mortgage.
You'd be sending the 500 towards principal, not towards interest. So it's like interest is deductible from your taxes. Principal, I don't think principal is, right?
Depends on on a commercial property.
Right.
Done under an LLC, whatever your payments are deductible.
Your whole payment?
Your whole payment.
Why?
Because your company, that's an expense.
Yeah. Are you an accountant? No.
No,
Or-
but a pre.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, maybe if you know for sure, then yeah. But I don't. We have a couple companies, but one that owns 6 properties. I don't know what my accountant does, but I thought it was still interest was only
If you
deductible.
own Personally, then
Personally, you
Right.
can't. You're saying
right. and you
Principal's
also
not
right.
deductible.
Accelerated depreciation. There's a lot of stuff inside the house
right.
that isn't 30-year,
Mhm.
20-year.
Right.
Carpet, dishwasher, refrigerators, washer. Those
Hmm.
you take accelerated depreciation.
Gotcha. So it sounds like if you buy it in LLC, the $500 extra towards principal, which you got to name it towards principal, is deductible. Buy it in your own name, then it's not. That's a good question to it. You mentioned depreciation. If I bore you, everybody else, but so I just sold a property. I just sold 2 properties from my company that I've had 13 years. And I depreciate, my accountant depreciated them every single year, I guess, whatever they did, right? Well, now, because I sold them in 2018, my 2019 taxes, I had claimed it was a huge profit.
After
Exactly. Even though I didn't really profit it, I profited it off the
You already
loss I
deducted it.
took the last 12
Right.
years, right? So that was my profit in the deductions, right? Then I had to show this profit, like I made this money because the recaptured depreciation. There's no other way to do it though, right? Over the 12 years,
If you've taken it, you have to pay it back.
right?
Unless you
Don't take it.
unless you take it through the full term.
What do you mean by that?
Once you take it through the full term, it's fully depreciated,
Uh-huh.
you don't have to recapture. So
Okay.
that's why you want to take.
What's the full term?
Real estate's 28 years.
Oh, so you're saying if I kept it 28 years, I wouldn't have to?
Right, or if you depreciated
So that profit?
certain items in the house.
Yeah.
Carpet, flooring,
Couldn't tell you what he did.
yeah. And if you took that, that's 5 years, some of it's 7.
Right.
Roof.
My taxes are like 180 pages. And then all I knew is this year, I was like, why the hell did STDR make money? We always lose money. And he's like, well, this year you have to, that's what he said, to recapture the depreciation. I was like, well, that's a shitload of depreciation I'm recapturing because I didn't see that check at closings. But hey, we should do a tax class one day if you guys want. Thank you, because I didn't know that. Yeah,
I 100% have been asking about tax.
there you go. I apologize. Your first name?
Mark.
Mark, I'm showing. Mark, if you want to one day, if you feel comfortable about like real estate and taxes, if
Sure,
you,
and I've got.
yeah.
Have my. He
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Christine, one day, can you? Yeah, thank you.
We have Debbie.
Oh, do you? Oh, cool.
Person.
Okay.
She's coming the 30th.
Oh, cool. Okay. Mark, maybe you can come in. We can help each other out, man. That's great. Yeah.
Is that to discuss taxes?
Taxes like realtor taxes or just taxes, everything in there, something. Yeah, hopefully she can go into, I would just come just and ask her the questions. What day?
Wednesday, December 30th at 1 o'clock.
Damn, she's good.
December 30th?
Yes.
She's good.
1 o'clock.
Cool. Everybody got that? December 30th, if you want to learn about taxes and real estate. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. What we got? What are you looking for? An investment property, properties, rent, sell. You know, you got your buy and holds, you got commercial buy and holds, and you got flips. You got a lot of creative stuff in the middle there too. You could hold mortgages, you could buy tax liens. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do in investing. You want to make money on the buy, you make your money on the buy. Does everybody know what I mean by that? You make your money. Yeah. If you buy a property right, the right price, you have a lot of options. You buy the property at the wrong price, you could have 0 options. So buying it right is good. And quite honestly, if you're buying something right now, you were in a peaked market in a very quick amount of time. So be careful what you're paying. As long as you're going to hold the property for 5 years, 3 to 5 years, you're good. But if you're trying to buy it and sell it in 6 months, I would be careful buying now. Very, very careful. Location. Rental properties, coastal transportation, good schools. You know, same with flips as well. Coastal transportation, maybe, but depends on where you're at. Bedrooms and baths. You know, certain places, more rooms, the better. And I don't flip anything. Really, I want 3 bedrooms or bigger, maybe a large 2-bedroom. But statistically, majority people buy 3 bedrooms or bigger. 2 bedrooms, you know, they buy, but not as much. Additional properties, quirky layouts. Stay away from them on flips. Something looks quirky, something's weird. You know, I'm very picky with flips. Quirky, like I don't like side-mounted houses. If the street's here and I walk up to the house and the door's on the left hand or right side of the house, I don't buy it. You know, there's got to be facing the house. Side-mounted houses typically sell for a tad less. You ever noticed? Yellow houses sell for a tad less. Yellow. People for some reason nowadays in the last 15 years they don't like it. They just tend to, not as many people gravitate towards yellow, gray, tan, brown, like that green that's very popular. Those are the colors. You know what I mean? It's like building a kitchen today with brown cabinets and dark counters. You know what I mean? They all want white cabinets, gray counters, gray floors, right? Yellows in the last 10, 15 years. I read something about it. Did you know if your house is, if a piece of real estate is located within 1 mile of a Starbucks, your house is most likely worth 5% more than the houses outside 5 miles. That's what they say.
1.6 miles.
1.6, is that what it is? Yeah, right. Yeah. Weird things I read. Anyway, next one. Hey, and paint it. I did that. Me and Olga did that. Yeah, we did it twice. There was one on, yeah, anyway, yeah, we did it twice. We passed something back there. It said ARV. Does everyone know what ARV means? Awesome, yes. ARV, after repair value. These are the kind of things, cap rate, ROI, ARV. These are the kind of terms you want to know when you're talking to investors so that you seem like you know what you're talking about. Because if you don't, then they'll be less likely to gravitate towards you. What do you do to fix a property? This is the second most important part of a flip. You know, I would say getting money for a flip is not hard. Think about it. Everybody's always, I get the money. Money's, I'll tell you, is whatever reason, because it's 15% interest, it's easier. Finding the property and finding a contractor. You need a contractor that does good work, shows up, is on time, and he doesn't charge top dollar because you got to fit him in the budget. So find a contractor now, so you'll have them later on. If it's a rental property, it doesn't need to be all brand new. It needs to be nice, rentable, and pass the CO, pass the city inspections, and safe. So your property price on a flip will be different. If it's going to be a rental property for you, most times you will pay more for a long-term rental property than a flip. If you're bidding on properties and you're bidding against somebody who's buying for long-term rental, and then I'm buying it for a flip, the person buying it for a long-term rental is going to pay more than I am because I'm going to redo everything. If a homeowner is bidding on the property, the homeowner is going to pay the most. When you're talking to your seller, the highest price a seller will get is selling to a homeowner. The second highest will be to a rental investor, and the lowest price they'll get is somebody that's going to completely gut it and redo it. What you got next? Conditions on look for the big ticket items when you're first looking at a flip or a rental or investment. Make an Excel spreadsheet to calculate the repairs. These are just some things when you're walking around a house or inside a house. Are the walls bubbling out inside and out? If you stand on one side of a wall and look down on the inside or the outside, is the wall, you'd be amazed how many older houses you look on the outside and there's this huge freaking bubble in the foundation or the whole wall's leaning out. What kind of foundation does it have? I bought a property in Buena and I didn't even look at the freaking basement when I bought it. And after I bought it, I realized that the foundation was literally boulders just with concrete in the middle. It was literally built in 1890, 1880 or something. Yeah, it was. And it's pretty sturdy though. I should have looked at that. That was in 2007 when I bought things like I was just buying things. That was back when me and Rosalie, she can tell you that story later. Me and Rosalie literally put an entire building of condominiums in South Carolina under contract. And then we went there to go golfing. We went to go golfing with a bunch of people. We left and we put 18 condos under contract to be built. We didn't buy, a long story. They were going to tear out the golf course, but we were buying things just to buy things. What kind of foundation? Heater and water heater. These are expensive items. How old? Do they look old? They look old. They're probably old. You don't have to be an expert to look at these and just say they're old. They look nice, new, and shiny. They're probably new. Take a picture. Show it to somebody if you can. Send it to me. Roof. What kind of shingle? They're wrapping out. The 3-dimensional shingles on roofs are I've been out like 25, 30 years now. So, but if you look at a roof and it looks completely flush, and then you look at another roof and it has like kind of waves in it, they call that a 3-dimensional shingle. Those are a newer shingle. So if it has those, it might be newer. If it has the flush shingles, it's probably really old. Plumbing, is it copper? Is it PEX? Is it bare? How many houses back in like 07, 06, 07, 08, when bank owns just started to become pretty popular, we went inside and looked in like, wow, yeah, this looks pretty clean. It looks good, man. We got back and then the home inspector or somebody, the appraiser noticed like, hey, did you notice
Copper pipes?
The pipes are gone? It's hard to notice when things are not there, right? And if it doesn't have a basement, you wouldn't even look. So look for these things.
Jump on the floors.
Jump on the floors, yeah. Well, don't jump too hard, but yeah, jump and see if they move. Because sometimes you have a 18-inch or 24-inch span. It will We'll do like a trampoline kind of thing, right?
Bring that guy with you, no problem.
I call it the less test when I walk through a house. If it doesn't move, it's good.
There's Knowles over here jumping. Electrical breakers, are they fuses or breakers? If they're fusers, just assume it's got to be replaced. To replace an electrical panel, line set, and a meter, depending on how long the line set is, gonna be 1,500, maybe 2,000, 2,500. So it's not the end of the world, but look at these things. Public sewer or septic. Septic can be 15, 20 grand. Know for sure if it's sewer. If it's septic and it's a flip, assume it's bad. Just assume it's bad.
Don't think you can actually connect,
Mhm.
even if you're close to it.
The sewer,
connect
yeah.
Sewers. Could be 10
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the sewer could be right there, but there could be a moratorium on the street. You can't tear the street up. You might have to burrow under the street. I mean, to go 20 feet on blacktop, it's like $400 a foot. You know what I mean? By the time you get the contractors, the bonds, the asphalt.
I covered township somewhere, they're $5,000 just to look at it, not guaranteeing they're gonna approve it. Just to
Wow,
look at 5,000.
crazy, right?
I'll get a septic.
The car wash on Whitehorse Pike, by almost by Pomona Road there, the garden, the Joe's Garden from our street. That car wash spent $92,000 burrowing under Whitehorse Pike to get to the sewer line, which runs parallel with Whitehorse Pike, but on the other side of the street, because they wouldn't allow him to open up the street. We had to literally burrow with this machine. So, 200 feet, 92 grand.
Imagine at the beach, putting a little hole in the road.
Exactly right. That's what we had to do. So you're right. It's not always cheap or can even be done. Look for pipes in the ground, oil tanks. Oil tanks can be. It costs you $350 to test it, or it costs you $350,000 to clean it up. I had one in Atlantic City when it hit 120 grand. The owner just stopped paying the taxes and allowed the city to take the property. It was cheap for him to let him take the property than it was to continue to clean it up. It's Martin Luther King. No?
This was in,
Well,
in Heights.
in the Heights. Well, there's one on Texas Avenue. Somebody did the same thing. So the city inherited the property. The city said they were going to leave a pump in the ground, cleaning up the groundwater for the next 30 years. And they're not even sure if that'll clean it all up. Because every one of these houses that are 12 feet wide had tanks at one point. So they don't know if that one's leaking, that one's leaking. They all could be leaking.
You see it sometimes in the actual market property.
Mhm.
Where they had a fence around a property for a year and a half, a big block house.
Right,
And they were cleaning up the dirt for between two houses,
right.
those $1 million houses, but they didn't want to do too much. Tearing the house down, in between the two houses.
In between.
So they
crazy.
had all the dirt turning literally for a year and a half.
Just turning, yep. Nuts. If you find an oil tank on a property on the Barrier Islands, it's leaking. There's not even a question. If it had oil in it, it's leaking. If maybe it was empty for the last 30 years, maybe you're good. But I've never tested an oil tank on the islands that wasn't leaking. It's just metal in salt water for 30, 40 years, it's gonna leak. All right, so then you start looking at cosmetics. And if you need an oil tank guy, ask me, ask Noel, ask Ro. They look at the cosmetics, kitchens and baths. We're realtors, right? Kitchens and baths sell houses. That's what people love. Start doing the rough estimates. I can give you kind of I have like a list, I do like kitchen, baths, appliances, doors, doors, trim, light fixtures, outlets, exterior doors, siding, windows.
If you're not sure, Amazon's got a great book on rehab.
Oh, do they?
that I
Nice.
downloaded.
Okay.
It's called Rehab.
You know what it's
And
called? Is it a book or
Book.
you have a name to it? Is there a name to the book or?
So, keep going.
Yeah, good. When you're doing the estimates, don't get too caught up, but make sure you have a pretty detailed estimate. And whatever your estimate is for a rehab, or even for for a rental rehab, make sure I usually add 10% contingency. So if it's 50 grand, another 5 grand, just contingency. If it's 100 grand, it's 10%. Hard money, if you're getting a hard money loan, usually the down payment, well, nowadays I don't know, depends on the lender. I've heard as low as 0%, and the average to 10 to 20%. After COVID, some were doing 30, 40%, but 10% is doable. 12% interest between 2 and 4 points, depending on the sales price. could be 1,500 in additional fees like origination fee, appraisal, just because fee, because keep in mind, hard money and private lenders, the reason they're lending so much money is because they rent them at 12% and they're not federally regulated. But there's no, they can charge you whatever, doesn't matter. $150,000 loan costs me on average $12,000 for 6 months. Just for the loan. Estimating rehab costs, nice. The book on, Noel showing me the book on estimating rehab costs. You guys want to look that up, check it out.
Showing up.
Yeah, if you have estimating rehab costs, and if you ask me a few times, I'll look for, I have a spreadsheet somewhere that I did use. Now I just do it in my mind. Do you? Okay. Well, I have notes on my phone for different properties. You just take that list, really. Sorry, let me just tell all them in our class.
You can even make your own spreadsheets for your clients and bring a clipboard and just knock it off.
Yeah. But yeah, I usually figure I factor 6 months of holding costs, 6 months of mortgage payments, loan payments, 6 months of taxes, 6 months of interest. I'm sorry, and insurance. You might want to do 9 months to be safe, but you have to. I also have a spreadsheet. It's in here on how to calculate the numbers for a flip, but make sure you estimate the right amount of holding costs, because if not, you're gonna be short.
That down payment right now, you're looking at 20 to 30%.
Yeah, for the hard money, that's what I was saying. It's changed since COVID. But then I just did one that they actually did 0%, but I don't know if I can give the name and number out yet. But that's what I'm saying. Some people, like Magic, their Magic's guy still wants 30%, but he does like 15 loans at a time for him. So he doesn't want to do 15 loans at 100%, I guess. Oh, look, there it is. I'm so good. I put this in my thing. All right. Well, there's a list. There's the list of items that I told you to bug me for. And this, again, I don't know how up to date it is. This rehab estimator is actually from it's from like you go to these investment clubs and exactly, you know what I mean? Like some of my clients are fortune builder clients, and they spent $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 going to fortune builders to get cool stuff like this. You know what I mean? It's awesome to have like a systemized way of doing it. And a lot of them do invest, but they need somebody like me and you to kick them off the ledge. You know what I mean? Go out and buy now. You spend all this money, go buy something. Exactly. Like this sheet actually tells you, like, it has an average price per square foot for flooring, average price per square foot for roof. So it can really kind of give you a good estimate.
And the only thing,
You can go to the next one.
right now and when that was done, it's completely different.
Yeah. Oh no, it might need to be updated. Oh, it's good, my sheet. I didn't forget anything. Yeah. This actually, I made this. This should still be valid. This is just like well, it looks not confusing, but it is still confusing. Just it's a way to figure out what do I offer for a flip. It has what the ARV is. What are you going to sell for in the end? I did this for an investor. We supply this for them. You supply for yourself. What's your goal to make in profit? I usually do not a percentage, a dollar figure on here. So I want to make 20 grand minimum. That's what I put in there. 30, whatever it is. Holding cost and closing cost. I do 10% of the ARV for an upfront quick estimate. That's my seller. That's my selling commissions, selling closing costs, buying closing costs, and mortgage payments, taxes, yada yada. And it should be about right, depending on your ARV. Cost of money. At the time, I was borrowing money at 16%, but 0% down. No fees on top of that. And then your rehab costs, what's this going to cost you to fix? And then from there, you're going to come up with your offer. You do an ARV, which is number one, minus your profit, number two, minus your closing costs, number three, minus your cost of money, number four, minus your rehab, number five, and that brings you to your number six. My offer, that's your offer. And then for the amount of your money you're going to borrow, from like a hard money lender. If you're using a lender, you do my offer, which is number 6, I'm sorry, plus the rehab costs, plus the cost of money, and that's how much money you want to borrow. I put the cost of money in the money I'm borrowing so that actually I'm borrowing the payments to pay them back. Does that make sense? You really don't have to put much money in your pocket. When I do it that way, usually I have like 3.5 to 4 months of the payments. I borrow that to pay them the money. And then by the next number 5, 6 payment, we're about to sell it anyway.
Now, I do have a question about like the hard money. So
Huh?
where, how do they compare to say like a conventional loan for, like the ease or difficulty of, getting approved?
They base it a lot on the property and your experience. Not saying they won't do one for you initially, but you want to, the property really has to make sense. That's all. They got to know that if you bought the property and you screwed it up, could you sell it partly done or not even finished at all for what you have a loan for? Does that make sense?
So do a fire now.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick out. What can we get out for? And is there, what's our risk of losing on this if you doing your first investment? But if you've done 5, 6 in the last 12 months, it's a lot easier. They still want the property to make sense, but it's a lot easier.
Your first one, you're gonna get hit on, interest, everything, you get hit hard on. But it's the cost of doing business, so.
Right.
It's the cost of building, like anything in real estate, it's the cost of building relationships.
How fast does it, does that, closing compare to like a conventional loan?
Timeline?
Timeline, yeah.
Normally 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, well,
Some are 2 weeks.
right now it's the title. The
Yeah,
title is taking longer, and they're getting an appraisal. Appraisal and titles taking longer. I mean, depends on your type. Like you have private, to me, a private lender is some dude that's got $1 million in the bank and he lends you 200,000 of it.
They're not paying money.
Right. You have hard money lenders that are pretty institutionalized now. They have an underwriting department. They send an appraiser out. They got a commitment fee. They got a loan package. Those will take, like Cole said, 3 to 4 weeks. Private guy, if he, title and no appraisal, a week or 2.
But again, it doesn't matter anyway, so you still spend 2 or 3 weeks title.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, now that we're down here, I'm hoping we'll get the title down to a week. Back to where it used to be. But yeah, appraisers, like I just had one yesterday, a private loan guy, and guy said, like, I got 10 million in the bank. I lend this guy money all the time. I said, you do an appraisal? He said, yes. How long that taking? He said 2 to 3 weeks. So even that guy, sends his own money out, the appraisal is going to take.
So when you're writing a contract, don't forget that you can't write cash if you're getting hard money. The actual seller can cancel the deal halfway through. If all of a sudden you throw a mortgage in there, you choose your deposit, but you actually said, I'm paying cash, and all of a sudden
And you're not.
you need to raise it.
It's a good point, actually. My investors put the deals in as cash. And sometimes we'll do cash, sometimes they'll do hard money. But they know that by putting it as cash, they're taking a risk that, if they don't get the loan, they either got to put the money out or they'll lose a deposit or something. You know what I mean? So if they're not okay with that risk, then put it as a mortgage. It's like you can put cash / hard money loan or something.
You can do in the remarks, what I started doing is,
Yeah.
I write in the remarks, buyer is not time financing, but buyer is the option of getting a mortgage.
Okay, gotcha.
So
That's a good idea. So do you fill out the mortgage commitment section?
You know,
No.
it's crossed out.
You cross it out.
It's crossed out. And I just write that the buyer on the
Yeah,
outside.
okay.
Because even if you start getting a mortgage and you bought it as cash, a seller can actually just cancel the deal and keep your deposit.
Right. Gotcha.
Because
You
it's
could.
still-
No, you could. And that's why it's good to maybe put something in there.
Right, if I put in the remarks section.
Right after COVID, I was putting cash / hard money loan, but I was putting a mortgage commitment date in there. Yeah, exactly. Because the loans were getting pulled overnight. You know what I mean? Like we literally lost 2 deals. And we lost one of the deposits. We put it as cash. COVID hit. Lender was like, we're not lending money. And the lady was like, yeah, where's the cash? I was like, bank's closed. Where's the money? Where's the dough? stay within your budget. That's a big thing. People always go over the budget, which is like put some contingency money in your budget. Just make sure you do that. Because there's always something that's going to come up. So if you think you're going to stay on budget exactly, you're probably wrong. But if you have a contingency, you can do it a lot better. And, just make sure your contractors aren't, you're pressuring you to do too much work or too over budget stuff. Like, this, I don't know. Listen, if you're selling a house for 150,000, it doesn't need a $500, $1,000 bathroom amenity. You know what I mean? Put the stuff in based on the value of the house you're selling. Selling a $500,000 house, in Galloway, $500,000 in Longport isn't much, but in Galloway, let's say, yeah, you might need the $500 vanity, but make it, equal to the house you're selling.
Don't
Get
do
it
too much,
reliable.
don't do too little.
Exactly. Depends on where you're at. Don't do too little and don't do too much. I've seen people do some crazy things, and I was like, why'd you do that? You know what I mean? Why didn't you? Yeah, you go to like a $150,000 house in Pleasantville that there was a foreclosure, and they got a wrought iron fence around the entire backyard that probably cost $20,000, which is like more than 10% of the whole value of the home. You know what I mean? Like, that's not sensible. Right.
Money, don't do that.
Don't do that.
No matter where you go.
Especially in a flip. Granite and stainless is like standard now, anywhere. Get a reliable, reasonable contract. Like I said, does good work. Get the permits. Don't try to go around the permits. I got one now, and it's not even her fault. The seller's selling a normal seller selling a home. She bought it with a finished basement. Her agent, I wasn't her agent. Her agent must have told her check the permits. Well, now she's selling it. The agent said, "Is there permits?" Of course, there's not permits. Now we're doing an electrical, plumbing, fire, and construction permits on a finished basement. If whoever did that had just gotten the permits, it probably would have cost like $200 for the permit, $300. Now we're cutting out walls, we're pulling out wires, we're pulling out toilets, which is going to cost probably a couple thousand, which would have been done. Exactly. And a lot of it so far was done pretty well, but we got to rip it out to show them. So if your clients or you think you're saving time or money with the permits, you're wrong. Without getting permits, you're wrong. Do your comps like you would list any of the property, make sure you know your numbers. Time is money, so price to sell. If you're paying 12%, 15% interest, literally time is money. So don't sit on the property. And when I do flips, my rentals, I'll kind of sell for myself. When I do flips, I normally don't list my own flips. It's not, you should have another agent in the office or somewhere else listed. Maybe you can be the second agent or something. It's better not to negotiate for yourself. No matter what property you own, you get personal. It gets more personal than business, and you don't want to bring personality or your emotions into a transaction where you're the owner and the agent, because it's more likely you'll get sued when selling your own personal properties.
Has some E&O issues.
Yeah.
Major E&O issues, because if you miss something if you miss something as the realtor and as the owner, it's already a big mistake right away. Right. Because you should have known it.
Exactly.
Or if you hit it, it's even worse.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Knock on wood, 21 years. The only time I was ever sued personally is for a property I was selling for my mom. I was selling my mom's property to a guy. We got a second day of attorney review. We got an offer from the city of Ventnor. They wanted to buy the block for a redevelopment project for $35,000 more. So we canceled the contract. Buyer sued me and my mom and my company at the time, saying that we didn't have the right to cancel it. He was disputing the attorney review was over. It definitely wasn't over, but then it didn't matter. The judge said I had kind of an equitable interest because it's my mom's property and I'm related, and I might have had some sort of interest in the property, and I have a better knowledge of the workings of real estate, and I shouldn't have done that to a buyer. And we had to give the buyer, after 9 months in court, we had to give the buyer half the $35,000, which is fine. We still made more money, but it didn't matter whether I did anything wrong or not. In the end, it was just because I was related to the owner of the seller, and I somehow screwed over a buyer.
And that's a one. That's
Yeah.
1,000.
Exactly, right. Exactly. I just
Figures on that one.
right. What's that?
Stay with
You could have 10 judges. You could- you would get-
Oh, no, you're right. No, yeah, I mean, after some of the lawsuits I've seen now, I don't think anything's crazy. After you do all that, you buy your second property, right?
You could cap it on it.
What, oh, is there?
No, we took care of it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, you did? Okay. Steps to buy another property is pretty much the same. You make money only if you buy it right. You make money with the property with an instant equity. You may hit the jackpot. My guy Tony, this guy Tony never bought a property. He's a DJ. He was our DJ Christmas party. Tony. He bought a property on Wyoming Avenue in Upseekin as a primary residence, 3.5% down. He bought it for $78,000, I think. It was a Fannie Mae. 4-bed, 2-bath, lived in it for like 6 months, took an equity line on it. He applied for an equity line to buy his first investment. It appraised at $182,000. He got like $60-some thousand equity line and he bought 3 rentals. And now he's got, I don't pretty much now got 4 rental properties, 1 primary residence, and the income from the 4 rentals pays his mortgage on the primary. So
Right now, it's like nobody's
he's
paying-
very, very happy. What's that?
Right now, it's like nobody's paying rent.
Yeah, probably. No, I know. He's right. Two of the 4 are not paying rent. In fact, I sold one of them. It was empty. It was a long time ago. He's that's right. You make money, blah, blah, blah. You're good. Keeping that same amount. Repeat this. Yeah, you can go to the next one. Repeat, and repeat, and repeat. Finally, when the market goes up and you're holding rentals, sell, sell, sell. Don't be greedy. Don't get greedy. If I could sell 2 rentals, 2 specific rentals right now, I would sell them. Unfortunately, there's tenants in them not paying rent and they won't show them. So because the market is up. I mean,
What do you feel on people that want to rent? I advise anybody that wants to do rent to own, to also buy those properties in between because you still want to continue cash flow.
right.
Rental might be lower cash flow, but you flip properties, but allow you to do, like, if people that want to rent, I do a 1 to 4, 1 to 5. For
Oh,
every
you
4
mean buying
rentals-
rentals?
For every 4 rentals you buy at least 1 flip. so
Yes.
you have continual larger cash flow.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
4 to 1, you're
Because
saying?
he's saying like 4 to 1. If you buy 4 rentals, buy 1 flips in between the next rental. And he's right, because especially if you're putting the cash out for the down payments on the rentals, that's exactly what I did. I bought in 2009 to 2011, I bought total, I accumulated 11 rental units and I spent all my cash and I was literally going broke. And I was paying off a lot of debt and then I bought this thing. So I was broke. So and I started doing flips for like 5 years straight because I needed to recoup capital.
So
And I wasn't
even
doing any flips.
So think of it this way, if you do a rental, and you buy it, you finance it, and right now there are some rental companies out there that do it. Not really hard money, but it's rental financing, it's not part of Fannie or Freddie, not still somewhat private, and you'll get 6%, between 5.5% and 6.5% interest rate. But your only equity is about 70%, 65 to 75%. Problem is, if you have so many rentals, you're missing 25, 30% of equity in all those properties. That's why you have to flip some properties, because you have literally, you have 10 property rentals, put up $200,000-300,000 on the street you can't touch. Because you could only get just figure 70% LTV on those properties. With 30% sits in the property.
Right.